I just realized we have never really done an exclusive NFL designated Cowboy style show, but we all know that today is that day because Mason Rudolph deserves this day. Mason Rudolph did a lot. He saved Christmas in Pittsburgh, and all of us in Cowboy country have been waiting on this day because it's never been about ability. It's been about the Pittsburgh Steelers' ability to get him in the daggone game.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. Thankfully, this one's kind of special because we get to talk about a couple Cowboys in the NFL that saved the day and saved Christmas for the Pittsburgh Steelers. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you all kindly for stopping by to make this your live listen tonight. Of course, you know, typically available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually on YouTube. Find at All Day of State. Today, we are partially brought to you by Game Time Tickets. Do not miss out on the action. Download the Game Time app today. Use the Locked On code to get $20 off your first purchase. So we're just going to jump right into this. Guys, as George Pickens decides that he's going to put his big boy panties on and play some daggone football, he almost catches for $200. And then Mason Rudolph decides to almost drop a Cowboy cool 300 yards. He had a nice little dime to Jalen a couple times. Jalen had a couple massive blocks thrown in there. Mason's patience was impressive. His poise was impressive. The first down run didn't flinch. On 3rd and 15s, he didn't flinch. In his own end zone, he didn't flinch. Mason Rudolph looked like a legitimate NFL quarterback today. Guys, I read something right before we got on air here, and I looked up QBR ratings, and it said that the average QBR rating in the NFL is typically hovering around the 50s range, and anything in the 75 range is a Pro Bowl level quarterback. Well, today Mason Rudolph goes 17 for 27 at just under 63%, 290 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. He also ran the ball effectively when he absolutely needed to. He threw the ball away at times when he needed to. Has a QBR of 79, which is what? As it says, that's Pro Bowl style level. Now, are we saying that Mason Rudolph is a Pro Bowl quarterback? No. But guys, you know that on this very daggone show, we said, 5-6 months ago, that unequivocally, Mason Rudolph was better than Mitchell the Bust Trubisky. He just was. Now, we also said he may not be better than Kenny Pickett, but he is really, really daggone close. And now he gets his opportunity. Guys, he was being wasted in Pittsburgh. He just was. Right? I think everybody that knew the talent level that Mason Rudolph had could see. Here's the thing. Mason Rudolph always has been and always will be a deep ball guy. That's what made him who he is. That's precisely what he did at Oklahoma State University. He would drop dimes. He would drop bombs to James Washington, who got mismanaged also in Pittsburgh. Let's call a spade a spade. The Ben Roethlisberger crap of hating Mason Rudolph, it 100% rubbed off on his disposition towards James Washington as well. But Mason Rudolph would always be dropping dimes in Stillwater to James Washington, Marcella Aitman, Dylan Stoner, Chris Lacey, Tyron Johnson. The list goes on. Chuba Hubbard, Tyreek Hill. And then he gets to Pittsburgh, and when he does get his opportunities, it's a bunch of dink and dunk crap. It's a bunch of dink and dunk crap. And then all of the Pittsburgh fans hate Mason too because they're Ben Roethlisberger guys. Well, today is the first time since Ben Roethlisberger in 2021 that a Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback had over 250 yards and 2 tutties before halftime. This is the first time in a few years. I think it was their biggest lead since 2016 at halftime. And I tell you this, as a Cowboy fan, the greatest thing about tonight was the Mason Rudolph chants. After they wanted this dude ran out of Dodge on the rails, Mason Rudolph decided to stay loyal to what, for why. Well, we'll know someday, but it just never made sense. Mason Rudolph was good enough. He always has been good enough to be at least the number 2 in over half the teams in the league. We knew that. He knew that. But for some reason, which is actually insanely honorable, but for whatever reason, he decided to stay loyal and true to the Steelers, and now it worked out. And now Steeler Nation is all on board with the Mason Rudolph trade. And it was nice to see George Pickens decide to put his big boy panties on again and play some daggone football. He's a good player. But the mismanagement for the Steelers goes deeper than Mason Rudolph. The mismanagement within the Steelers has been kind of relegated as well to the wide receiver room. How many big-time receivers going back even before Antonio Brown did they lose in some free agency style of deal? It happened a lot. This is wonderful. Guys, whenever Mason Rudolph and James Washington went to the Pittsburgh Steelers, every one of us that bleeds orange through and through had envisioned dreams of Mason and James Washington doing the daggone thing and taking the Pittsburgh Steelers to the playoffs. But of course, Big Ben got involved, and then the fans got nasty, and then he got known for the guy who got hit in the head by his own daggone helmet by Myles Garrett, instead of being a good quarterback. And even with the bullcrap, nonsense, dink and dunk offense that they forced him into, he was still able to go 5-4. So it's not like he was atrocious and he couldn't get it done. He had a winning record. It wasn't pretty, but as we've been talking about for almost a year, the offensive system that they were giving Mason Rudolph was never going to suit him. He's got to air it out. He just does. That is him, right? At Oklahoma State, when he was throwing deep balls, they were probably 85%, 90%, and 70% of those were touchdowns. The intermediate route stuff up in the seams was decent. I mean, but 7 out of 10 range. The short stuff was hit and miss. Mason Rudolph was a deep ball guy. And then the Steelers, they don't give him the opportunity to be the dude. And then today, all of a sudden, I actually can't recall the offense coordinator that or bumped up or whatever to do play calling. But nonetheless, clearly he had a discussion with Mason, and he said, "Hey, Mason, what in tarnation do you like to do?" And I would be willing to bet you money that Mason said, "Well, I'll tell you what I don't like doing. I don't like running routes for 3 yards constantly. I would like to do my thing. My thing is to push the ball deep. My name is Mason Daggone Rudolph. I am a gunslinger if you let me launch the ball." That's what he was. Yeah, wet blanket. Dude, you were spot on. Oh, sorry, guys. I haven't been putting these up here. We got super spoiled with Mason Rudolph. Absolutely. But, we've had a run here recently of really quality quarterbacks. Mason was a legitimate 4-star get out of South Carolina, right? Garrett Rangel was in some publications a 4-star. He was very competitive in the Elite 11. Then Flores, maybe he wasn't necessarily a 4-star, very high 3-star, probably should have been a 4-star. Goes down in history as the best quarterback in all of Nebraska high school history. And then we get Mayoake Smith, who broke a bunch of Tom Brady's records at Juniper Sierra in California. Oklahoma State University is getting dudes that beat the tar out of Tom Brady's records from California. And then to see Mason Rudolph have an NFL experience and performance like this, it is wonderful because we have Ollie Gordon. We have the greatest running back in football right here, right now. Yeah? Oklahoma State has a very rich tradition of NFL running backs. We've been doing that even when we weren't necessarily all that great. Even when winning 7 and 8 games was a very big deal, right? That was like the pinnacle for a long time. Even when that was happening, we were putting a bunch of NFL dudes from Oklahoma State, and they produced. So getting all the gold, having a lot of legitimacy at the running back position consistently makes a lot of sense. But quarterback, we're on a nice little run here recently, but we needed this, right? As Oklahoma State fans, we all needed to see this happen for Mason Rudolph. I mean, we've all been likely watching a lot of the Steelers games, at least highlights, because Jalen Warren has been able to do the daggone thing, much like Malcolm Rodriguez was able to do last year with the Lions. And then he's so good, Malcolm Rodriguez is so good, that they're having him play like fullback tight end type stuff because he's too good not to be on the field. What we're doing here is phenomenal, and we needed this as Oklahoma State country. For recruiting purposes, it's easy to get wide receivers. Why? Because we got a bunch of them in the NFL right here, right now. It's pretty easy to get running backs because we got a lot of them in the NFL doing the daggone thing right here, right now. It's becoming pretty easy to get good linebackers and be really good at linebacker because of all the NFL linebackers we have right now. Guys, isn't it ironic? And I still like Mason Cobb. I think his family, Mama Cobb, is phenomenal. But he was saying that he left Oklahoma State because he wasn't getting pushed. He said he went to USC because he didn't necessarily see the right path to the NFL at the linebacker position at Oklahoma State. But then he forgets to take into consideration we got this dude named Nick Martin. You're telling me Nick Martin wasn't pushing you? You're telling me Xavier Benson, when he's dialed in 100% ready to rock and roll, wasn't pushing you? You're talking about NFL linebackers right here, right now. Amen Mamiga, Malcolm Rodriguez, obviously Devin Harper still doing the thing with the Dallas Cowboys. And now we've got Nick Martin. And now I do think that when Justin Wright comes back, that's going to be providing a pivotal role. If you want to talk about the perfect replacement for what Xavier Benson does, Xavier Benson eats stuff up for guys like Nick Martin. But again, Oklahoma State's putting significantly good numbers of NFL guys in now at different positions. But quarterback has been lacking. Right? Zach Robinson was able to carve out a nice role for himself in the NFL. He lasted as a third string practice guy for what? 7, 8, maybe even 9 years, something to that effect. And now he's doing a phenomenal job with the Los Angeles Rams as a quarterback coach. And it appears as though he's going to have opportunities after this season's over to be an NFL offensive coordinator. So it's a good success story. Brandon Weeden, he unfortunately went to the death of all quarterbacks in the Cleveland Browns, right? So even though Brandon Weeden may have intellectually been able to pick up the game pretty easily, he got put in not only a precarious situation, but a lose-lose situation. And then he does some things to help the Dallas Cowboys get into the playoffs. So Brandon Weeden is known. He lasted a few years after that as a backup. But Mason Rudolph has kind of been the guy that we've all hung on to as the NFL quarterback that could do some stuff. Because even back then, especially back then, Oklahoma State's offensive play calling was so simplistic that there was obviously going to be a little bit of a transitionary period to the NFL. And maybe, just maybe, it took Mason a little while to figure it out. But again, the idea that these NFL teams need rookies and second-year guys to play immediately is typically not a successful situation. If you go back historically, a lot of guys that were successful were in the Aaron Rodgers mold that followed Brett Favre, even if it was slightly begrudgingly. You had to wait his turn. And then you see kind of the emergence right now to some degree of Jordan Love. He had to bide his time and wait behind Aaron Rodgers, obviously, somewhat begrudgingly. But the waiting and learning is a big deal. And they talked about it live on the broadcast, which I very much appreciated. They talked about how big of a deal it was that Mason Rudolph was able to be 100% ready for this game. He has been preparing week after week after week after week for what, 697 days or something to that effect, I think I saw, playing meaningful snaps. So for the last almost 700 days, the dude has gone week to week to week to week like he's a starter, knowing he was probably likely not even going to come close to touching the field. And then he finally does get that opportunity, and the offensive coordinator finally does give him the ability to push the ball down the field because that's what he is. If you let Mason Rudolph push the ball down the field, your running game is going to benefit. Again, what Mason Rudolph was able to do like this at Oklahoma State was beneficial to guys like Tyreek Hill and Chuba Hubbard and even Justice Hill because he could push the ball down the field so well. If you're a decent route runner and you have decent speed and you can get enough separation, if you can make a nice little cushion and you push off from the numbers to the boundary while the ball's in the air and you create enough separation from that DB, Mason Rudolph will get you the ball. But we unfortunately all, again, I hate to circle back around, but we did have to watch an abysmal offensive play calling selection for Mason Rudolph for the times in the last few years where he was able to see the field. Yeah, I'll tell you what. It was a Bedlam or homecoming Cincinnati. Somebody let me know down in the chat. But it was either Bedlam or Cincinnati. I can't remember. He was at the game. And not obviously he got a standing ovation from the crowd and a packed out, sold out Boone Pickens Stadium. But the reception was even better than I maybe would have thought because he hasn't been playing for quite some time. But clearly when he comes back to Stillwater, even not playing, we, the diehards that bleed orange, that have the O-State tattoos and all that fun jazz, we have been saying forever and a day that Mason has been getting screwed. He's not been getting the right situations. Yeah, Big Ben just needs to shut his daggone pie hole, man. I know he's a legend. He's a Hall of Famer. I get it. I'm with him. I liked him too. But he, not single-handedly, but he was a major cog in the derailment of the Mason Rudolph machine. And you can't tell it wasn't purposeful. And you can't tell me it didn't have the same effect, again, on James Washington. There was some negative reciprocation between the two. And Big Ben would clearly call out Mason for stuff. Sometimes it was relevant, but sometimes it was bullcrap. It was Bedlam. Okay. Yeah. So there were so many people. I was in the section right behind the goalpost on the right-hand side. And the reception, even from all the recruit parents that were in that section, they wanted to go get pictures, like hanging over the side of the walls to get like 8-foot somewhat selfie with Mason. There was lines of people because Mason Rudolph is that beloved in Stillwater. And once again, this is something that we haven't really seen. An Oklahoma State NFL quarterback go out and not only kill it, but have the entire stadium that hated him not even 3-4 months ago. Mason Rudolph. Like, I got chills. That is why I decided to do this live show. We've never done a post-game NFL exclusive Cowboy live show. But I got chills when they were chanting for Mason. And they were showing the pictures of Kenny Pickett and Mitchell Trubisky on the sidelines together. You've already seen those wonderful, wonderful memes that have come out of those two standing next to each other, right? And it's like the caption is, "We're not going to play anymore, are we?" Yeah, my son even came up to me and he said, "Dad, if Kenny Pickett gets to start another game for the Steelers, I'll never watch him again." And I said, "Son, there's probably a lot of Steelers country that feel the same way right now." Now, there's people in the comments that said we were crazy for saying Mason was way better than Mitch Trubisky months ago. There's people that were saying we were just living in the Kool-Aid, the orange-flavored Kool-Aid too much, thinking that Mason was even close to Kenny Pickett. But just like the Big Ben stuff screwed over part of Mason's career, as did the Kenny Pickett stuff. Okay, let's call a spade, y'all. Kenny Pickett was the hometown guy from Pitt, right? That helped Pitt kind of have a reemergence of some sort from the ashes and become pretty good and pretty daggone legitimate again. Also had the number one receiver in the country in Addison there for a while. So when Kenny Pickett got drafted, he was always going to be the guy. He just was. The story itself, well, I get it. I did a comp the other day. It would be like, so let's say this next season, Quinn Ewers leads Texas back to another Final Four, and whether they win it or whatever, it doesn't matter. And then the Dallas Cowboys, right, pick Quinn Ewers to be the next guy in line for Dak Prescott. The first time Dak Prescott starts screwing the pooch significantly, he's going to put Quinn Ewers in. He's going to have to. That's what this Kenny Pickett stuff was. And I'm not saying Kenny Pickett is not good, right? I'm not saying Kenny Pickett is not good. Because if you look statistically at all of their wins, he was throwing for 230, 240, 250. He did not, however, throw for 290 now, did he? No, sir. No, he did not. This was amazing. And it's got to be his team for the next two games, right? And if they win all three, and I think they do have to catch a couple breaks, but if they win all three, which they just won this one. They win the next two. And it doesn't have to be, by a score of 34-11, even though that does look good and it feels good. Guys, I'll be fair with you. I was out Christmas shopping, so we're like in the mall. And I get the ding-ding of him dropping the 86-yard opening. Second offensive snap for the Steelers. Oh, geez. Oh, no. Oh, hello. There we are. All right. Anywho. See, getting pretty animated, getting pretty fired up. Anyways, the second possession of the day is an 86-yard strike for a touchdown to the guy that decided not to block for our guy, Jaylen Warren. But it was good to see George Pickens get back up off the proverbial horse of negativity because he was taking it on the chin, as he should have been. I mean, that was, if you're not going to play, get off the daggone field. But he did show up and he played today. He made a statement, as did Mason. Guys, this would be some kind of story, some kind of thing. For Mason Rudolph to lead the Steelers into the playoffs. And watching Jaylen Warren for the last year and a couple months, right, basically, has been phenomenal already. I wish they'd have kept James Washington. And I'm sure James is still physically ready. And if Big Ben's not making things difficult for Mason or James Washington, this is a cool story. But as we talked about the other day on the show, so we're working on teaming up with somebody to do like a full-on highlight of nothing but Leon Johnson. Guys, Leon Johnson III is good enough to be in the NFL. Our comp for him has been Marcel Aitman for quite some time. The agent and stuff that he's got rocking and rolling, clearly trying to get him into the East-West Shrine Bowl. He needs to be in the daggone thing. Because I do think that Leon Johnson, even really only playing 5-6 games, is damn sure good enough to be a late round get. And it would be poetic justice at its finest if the Steelers could pick up Leon Johnson in the 6th, 5th round, even 7th round. I mean, hell, he's good enough even if it's an unsigned free agent UFA style of deal. I would love to see Leon get these 50-50 balls, these deep shots that Mason Rudolph is known to do. This is his cup of taters. So hopefully we can replace what we missed out on with James Washington with like some Leon Johnson in a Steeler uniform. That would be nice. That would be great. And I cannot wait to see what Leon does in this bowl game. Guys, let me know down in the comments. What do y'all think about this hubbub in regards to the Steelers' second string, third string still be better than Oklahoma State? I find it laughable, okay? I hope that we absolutely take them behind the woodshed and beat the ever-loving tar out of them. I hope that we put up a 34-11 type of score. Oh, by the way, I don't think I haven't. I put my show together basically for like Monday. Now I'm going to do a Christmas show. So we got an early Christmas present today, basically from my son Rudolph, National Signing Day. Pretty good early Christmas present. The day after, getting Jacoby Oliphant, the 6'4", 190 defensive back. That was also beneficial. We did get another nice little tidbit. I'm waiting on Jalen Lucas. That'll be a good Christmas present. We're waiting on Reggie Grimes. That'll be a pretty good Christmas present. We're waiting on another announcement that will certainly, likely be a good Christmas present for everybody. Watching Mason do this. You can't tell me, Cowboy Nation, are we not rocking the black and gold for the rest of this year? Because it's got to be Mason's team. 100%. Yeah, I want to beat the ever-living tar out of A&M. I really do. Because, again, if we win, everyone's, and I talked about this the other day on the Voice of College Football show with Mark Rogers. If we win, people are going to say, well, duh, you beat a middle-of-the-pack SEC team missing half their roster. But, you know what they want, what they're hoping, and what they're waiting for is us to lose or it be extremely close. So then they can say, see, we told you that half midway of the SEC is better than the top of the Big 12. It just can't happen. It can't even be close. Oh, yes, I love it. Okay, cool. I agree. My prediction, dag-nabbit, I just texted to my boy. It was, 35-24. That was my prediction. 35-24. So you guys get my prediction early instead of waiting till Christmas. But again, I am still hearing between Christmas, New Year's, January 3rd, we're going to have some announcements. We're going to get some news. We're going to get some dudes. We're going to get some players. And then, guys, if you haven't had the opportunity to go check out today's show it was yesterday's show. Yeah, sorry. It's been a whirlwind. But I did discuss some of the potential scholarship guys and preferred walk-ons that we're likely to bring in, or we should be able to bring in. And it's absolutely preposterous that some of these dudes don't have other big-time Power 5 style of opportunities, even if it's preferred walk-on PWO. Guys, this is another, you're getting a little bit of the Monday show early. Something that I think is pivotal for Oklahoma State and very, very, very exciting and achievable is to dominate the PWO market. Yeah? We clearly have enough money and NIL capabilities to keep the big-time guys for the most part. And it appears as though there's a good opportunity. We're going to keep everybody. That financially is getting offered millions from other places. Do not even second guess that we've got dudes like Ollie that have not been, you know what it is. The dude's been offered bukus of dollars, so clearly we have enough to at least keep the conversation going till now, because he ain't gone. When everybody and their mama that could get in front of a microphone and a camera said that Ollie has to be gone, he will be gone. There's no way the best running back in the country stays at Oklahoma State. And then you hear that Ollie is helping every single one of the O-linemen get extra to come back. There's a good probability that a decent chunk of these fellas know 2024 is another Arlington run. And they know they can make a considerable amount through our NIL. Maybe not as much as NFL, but close enough to be willing to stay. We can do all that. And now we have the ability to push a little bit more of this NFL pedigree that we have established and we have developed. But again, if we can continue to keep the Ollie Gordons and the Talon Shetrons of the world, and the Nick Martins and the Kendall Daniels and the Cam Apps, if we can continue to keep those guys through the collective, and then have a pretty good class with the guys that are getting offers from Bama, Michigan, Oregon, Texas, like David Kabongo and Landon Cleveland and Malake Smith, Willie Nelson, guys, we've got legit dudes. But once again, if we can absolutely dominate the PWO market, if we can give every PWO 10 grand, 15 grand, 17 grand, whatever it be, you may not be on scholarship. You may have to pay for a portion, but we're going to give you a considerable amount to make it worth your while. And because we have the number one strength and conditioning coach in the United States of America, we're going to make all of you Power 5 Division I level starting build, size, speed, strength. Even if you leave, as Gundy mentioned the other day, we might be enhancing guys because we're one of the best factories in the country of doing it. We might be enhancing guys in a couple of years with our Rob Glass program to benefit other schools. It's going to happen. But as we talked about, like somebody like J.C. Hine comes from a small school out of Kansas. But the dude had 173 tackles, 112 solo. 173 tackles, 112 solo. I don't give 13 hoots what level of football you're playing. Yeah? If you are clearly a man amongst boys, you deserve opportunities. And Oklahoma State can provide more of those in a better way than most anybody else. And I'm not just saying that because I love orange and I love Kool-Aid, because these are facts stacked on more facts. Oh, Zach, yes, love it. Okay, we can shift. I dig it. Yeah. Here's my perspective on the Casey Dunn deal. Yeah. If Mike Gundy had to kind of get more re-involved on a daily basis, because the top-down, ivory tower type CEO role, it was working until the NIL transfer stuff. So we got caught a little bit behind the 8 ball. And then, we get everybody's kind of re-engagement here. But although we all loved, and so did the players, love seeing this side of Mike Gundy, where he's busting his hump every single day. He's in the building every day, hooting, hollering, talking, getting to know people from a personal basis, what their family's like while they're going through the stretch lines, all that stuff, studying tape, being the guy that coached up all of the special teams. That was Gundy. Yeah. Staying late, working 13, 14, 15 hours. All admirable stuff that needed to happen. It was the shot in the arm, the reinvigoration again of the Cowboy culture that was absolutely necessary. And now it's taking us potentially to new heights, to new levels. But in all that, is it fair to say that Mike Gundy probably didn't want to be working 14, 15 hours a day? He probably didn't. He didn't want to. He clearly didn't want to. right? But because he did do that, there is no way that he can't go have a barbecue with Tim Rattay and Cale Gundy and get the same thing all the way around. Like, there's got to be conversations that have been had with Mike Gundy that are like, hey, dude, yeah, so if we're all spending extra time, extra hours, including yourself, to help the offense, then there's something wrong with the offense. If we all have to pitch in and work 13, 14 hours a day because our offensive coordinator is pretty inept, then we do have a problem. Now, if Mike Gundy decides that he wants to keep working 13, 14, 15 hours a day, so does Tim Rattay, so does maybe a Cale Gundy. If these dudes decide that they all want to collectively work with Dunn every week to design offenses, okay, that's fine. We watched it work, but the question is why? Time is money. So maybe reallocate a little bit more time to like recruiting NIL stuff, and maybe not do as much X's and O's, and get an offensive coordinator that can do it for you. Let it be Tim Rattay. If it's Trayson Wallace taking over for wide receiver coaches, let Trayson Wallace do that. If it's bringing in a Dana or a Marcus Arroyo, then do that. If it's you firing Dunn and you announcing that you're going to go back to head coach and OC, I don't love it, but okay, do that. Because there's no way anybody can say that everybody collectively wanted to be working an extra 14 hours a day. If your offense can put up 45 points a game and you get to go home at 6 every night, that's pretty dope, right? Nobody's going to fault the coaches. If the offense is so ready to rock and roll without you being there, then great. But if it's not, you do have to step in and do what we did this year. But it shouldn't have to be an every year thing. You think Dunn? What up, Wet? You think Dunn wants to be an O-State legend? Gundy or Dunn? What do you think? What do you think here, Wet? What do you think? Any stat? I don't think so. No. I mean, we're gonna lose a couple, like analysts, right? We're gonna lose a couple of the GA style guys, but that's pretty standard, right? We're going to hang on to Todd Bradford. We're going to hang on to Benny Tonga. We're going to hang on to Rashedi Jones, hanging on to J.W. Walsh, Coach Waz, Coach Hummer, Coach Hammer, Coach Duffy, Coach Joe Bob, Coach G. Rich. Who did I miss? Obviously, we're going to hang on to Gundy, Nardo, Trayson. I honestly, I don't know who I missed. Oh, Ollie wants to be a legend. Yeah, bro. Again, man, I'm trying to just let it be what it is. But again, oh hell, y'all know. If I was hearing that Ollie's gone, I'd have been telling you. So there's that. But I also will say, if Ollie is in fact returning, I think it would be intelligent to kind of have the kickoff about it. Right? It should be something that's not just a Twitter, message. He shouldn't just tweet out, "Hey, love you, Cowboy Nation. I'm coming back. We're going to run it back in Arlington." Like, that's going to be dope, but it should be a big deal, right? The announcement of a Heisman candidate that just won the Doak Walker and is the best running back in all of college football. His announcement that he's coming back, it should be a Heisman kickoff ceremony type of deal, right? I think, is that fair? We can all agree there. So if in fact coming back, it shouldn't be just some small message. It should be, I don't want to say theatrical, but guys, we have pretty much never, the only time, how ironic is this? The only time we've really, as Oklahoma State first city got publicly media behind a Heisman campaign was, I'll give somebody a chance. Hold on. I'm going to count 10. I'm going to give somebody a chance to put, what's the last time we did a legit Heisman campaign from Oklahoma State? 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Come on, y'all. Mason Rudolph to James Washington. We kind of did a little bit with Chuba Hubbard, but we didn't push it like we really did with Rudolph to Washington. Matter of fact, I'm kind of old school. I didn't know what hashtags did. I didn't know I didn't know when you put a hashtag in front of something that it made it like more viewable or something to that effect. But the first hashtag I really remember was hashtag Rudolph to Washington. We put a somewhat decent Heisman campaign together for Rudolph and James Washington. We did a little bit for Chuba, but this one has to be bigger, right? This Heisman campaign from Oklahoma State, folks with a purpose, all of it, whatever, needs to be massive. Oh, yeah. 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 Good call. Good call, Zach. Yeah, COVID did kind of screw up Chuba's Heisman campaign. That's very true, Wet. Yeah, good call. But yeah, so it's nice we get to talk about Mason Rudolph. And the last time we really put big time money as a university behind a Heisman campaign was Mason Rudolph. And we do all remember the Tyreek Hill year, Mason Rudolph's freshman year, getting the Bedlam W in Norman. But we also remember the years after where him and Baker Mayfield would literally throw for 1,100, 1,200, 1,300 yards. Is no joke. Y'all can back me up in this. There was games, remember, it would be like 63, 58. Baker would throw for 580 and Mason would throw for 504. Like, it was stupid. They were putting up ridiculous numbers, but we'd always lose. The Mason versus Baker duels didn't quite go our way, even though Mason was putting up Heisman numbers. And then Baker won the Heisman. So it's fair. But yeah, the last time we really pushed a big campaign was for Mason. And if we would have won those, it's the thing. We've talked about it thousands. We always get our fingertips to the mountaintop. We just can't quite get over it. And it's the same with Mason. He was legit in Heisman campaigns and in the voting, as was Brandon Weeden. We didn't push Brandon Weeden's Heisman campaign. He just, by himself, ended up in it. Yeah, and if we would have beat Iowa State, he would have been in New York. Because if y'all recall, going into the Iowa State, he was either first or second in Heisman voting. Brandon Weeden was. But this is different. We didn't know that we had a Heisman candidate at quarterback when the season started. We just didn't. So we didn't push it. He did that. Well, not by himself, but we didn't pump a Heisman campaign for Brandon Weeden. Yeah, dude. And again, sorry, I got distracted. If it's in reverse, right, and we win those games, 63-58, 247, instead of them winning by 3, 4, 5, 6 every daggone time, if Mason's the one that wins those, he's in New York instead of Baker or with Baker. So again, we've gotten close. We get to the mountaintop, both figuratively, physically, and literally. But yeah, this announcement needs to be big, right? So if it takes a little while, it's all right. Yeah, agreed. Weeden would have won the Heisman, or he would have at least finished second if we beat Iowa State there. You go back here. Yeah, we'll get off here a few. Yeah. Oh, 2021. Zach, don't do that, man. Oh, we're having so much fun. You you hurt my heart. What? Circling back to Iowa State, guys. I've talked about this before. My biggest frustration with that game, from what I've been told, obviously there was the women's basketball plane crash, and we had 4 people die, and we had football players. That one of the football players was dating one of the girls that passed away, and then some of the other football players were like very, very, very close with the women's basketball team. They would like hang out a lot, and our football players would come to women's basketball games quite often. So there was an accumulative effect in that locker room, and I can't remember his name, but shout out, kudos to the Iowa State athletic director at the time. I've been told that he literally, went down and talked to Mike Gundy and everybody before the game, hours before. And he straight up basically said, hey, man, we 100% understand, even kind of maybe even recommend, if you want to postpone this game, we are very supportive and we will do it with you. And supposedly, now that part I know happened. The next part, I've heard from a few people it did happen. I've heard from a few that maybe it didn't. But anyways, I was told that they took a vote, a team vote. Do we want to go play this game or do we want to postpone it? And I was basically told that there was a vote to maybe not play, but for whatever reason, Gundy decided that we just needed to grit it out and get it done. Now, part of his reasoning was he did want to get everybody back to mourn in Stillwater, which I do understand that part, but you can't look too far back, obviously. I would have preferred, looking back, that we did postpone that, even if it's just one day, because we were light years better. But guys, we all saw it. We heard it in the pregame call, right, with Hunziker and Robert Allen and them. The dejection in that locker room was, you could feel it. You could physically feel it through the radio. And then when you saw the team take the field, like, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I remember I had a little get together. So I had like 8, 9 people when I was in Oldfield at my house, grilling up and stuff. And I remember when we took the field, I was like, we don't look good. We were just running out of the tunnel. And I don't know. Maybe y'all let me know. Maybe I was off, but I swear I could just feel the players coming out on that field. We didn't want to be there. We physically and mentally were just not equipped to play that game. And then hats off to Iowa State, right? When it's cold in Ames and it can get ugly, dirty, nasty, and we get screwed out of a field goal. Yeah. But that, and then 2021, obviously, as Zach just brought up. Yeah, to me, my complaint there was all year offensively, we were so conservative. Run, punt, run, punt, run, punt, pass, punt, right? That was our offense that year. We fortunately had arguably the greatest, it's either 1984 or 2021, greatest defenses in O State history, right? And because we had maybe the greatest defense of all time, our offensive philosophy was, well, let's do nothing. And we did that in the Big 12 title game. So I think that cost us more than getting stuffed on the 1-yard line over and over and over. I just think, yeah, anyways, it doesn't matter. Which is why I think we need to capitalize on having the best preferred walk-on program in the entire Big 12 to make it the best in the country. So daggone be it. Yeah. Jalen Warren. Dude, his blocks are great. Oh, And another thing I'm sure y'all noticed too. And do you see how they were using Jalen? Kind of like we used BP, Brendan Presley. Split him out, run him through the backfield. You remember that? Like they did that in arena ball. They'd have their receivers. When I played receiver, unless you were put in motion, you wasn't doing none of that circling around the running backs, quarterbacks going back out type shit. You weren't doing that. That you ran your daggone route or you were in motion. But it's cool. And it does clearly show that they want to find unique ways to use him because he's that good. Very reminiscent of the 49ers with Kendall Daniels. They had Frank Gore, and they had another really good running back, I believe, as well. But Kendall was their third down guy. He was so good that they had to find ways to get him on the field. And he had I think it was a catastrophic hamstring or quad. It was one of the two, but he tore one of those muscles so bad, kind of like Rashawn Wood's injury, also with the 49ers. I've actually never put that correlation together before, but anywho. All right, y'all. I'll let you ask a few more questions, comments, statements, concerns. This is great. We usually only go for 25, 30 minutes, but this was a big one. This was a massive deal for Oklahoma State Cowboys. I know this was a big deal. Guys, I tell you, 100% certainty, some of our, if not all of our Oklahoma State Cowboy quarterbacks right now were watching that game and live conversating about how big of a deal it was. Our quarterbacks on this roster that are in Houston preparing for the Texas Bowl right now, we're all talking about this game tonight live as it was happening. So it is a very big deal. This is worth an hour show. Because if Mason Rudolph can keep this up, there's positive ramifications. Why does OU, even without Lincoln Riley, still get the top dogs like your Jackson Arnolds? Because they've got Baker Mayfield in the NFL. Because they got Kyler Murphy doing the daggone thing. Kyler Murray, sorry. And they also got Jalen Hurts. That's big in recruiting. And those dudes on social media and through other various means of communication, they help their universities recruit. We've gotten better at that this year, right? But unfortunately, we're really late. We're really late to this party of embracing all of our big-time OG, triple OG, original gangster style alums. It's nice to have a good number of them on staff. It's nice that this year we've dove very, very deeply into the former guys. Like I said, we've had Mason this year at games. We had several. Tylen Wallace is at games. Jalen Warren, obviously, is at games. It was great to have him in the backfield. Yeah. This was big. So yeah, worth an hour show. It's great to see Mason do this. And again, if he can continue this, and we have a Mason Rudolph led with Jalen Warren doing his daggone thing, Pittsburgh Steelers that rise from the ashes with Mason to somehow make the playoffs. And guys, if Mason Rudolph leads the Pittsburgh Steelers to a playoff W, we're gonna do something. Actually, I don't know what we're gonna do. This is a problem with doing live. I don't plan for nothing. I didn't put my foot in my mouth. I don't know. Give me some suggestions, y'all. We got to do something. If he wins a playoff game, like we got to have somebody. I'll work on it. We're gonna get somebody on with us. That's what we'll do. We'll do a live show with like multiple people. That dag nabbit. Everybody go give Keaton Hargett OK State Probs a hard time. I was actually going to bring him on live for this one right here because I know him and Mason are pretty tight. And I know that Mason's likely going to be on his pod. So give him a hard time for not jumping on tonight because he just texted me. Yeah, that's what we'll do. But even if we'll do it. Oh snap! I got it. I've got Mason Rudolph autographs of stuff somewhere. I know I do. Well, I'll do a giveaway. We'll do a giveaway if Mason leads. Oh, here we go. Just putting this together live on the spot. We'll do a giveaway. We'll have some live dudes. Maybe we'll have Keaton. We'll have Keaton in here. Maybe we'll get Greg in here. Maybe we'll get Tatum in here. Give me some suggestions, guys. And yeah, we'll do the giveaway. Oh, and here's what we'll do for the second half, maybe fourth quarter. We'll go live, live stream, not the game, but the reaction. So I'll just post up just like this and watch the fourth quarter, second half, whatever, of Steelers playoff game live. And y'all can, I don't know. I might only have 2 viewers for that part, but yeah, it might be a bad idea. Y'all let me know. But I would do that, do a giveaway live for the fourth quarter, bring some guests on and have some fun. Have some fun with this deal. Because I love the Mason ride here, and we need to capitalize on it as Oklahoma State, right? We rode the tar out of the Malcolm Rodriguez train last year, as we all should have. Everybody rode the tar for the last week or so, or the Tyler Wallace game winner for the Ravens, as we should have. Tuba's doing some stuff. Tyreek Hill has the opportunity to be the first receiver in the history of the NFL to go over 2,000 yards. When I heard that, I had no idea. I legitimately had no clue that had never been done before. And he still hadn't done it yet. I think he's maybe a couple hundred yards shy. He had an ankle injury, so he missed the game the other day. So that put him behind the 8 ball. So he'll have to have a monster last game or whatever, but it's a possibility. So, of course, we're going to lean on guys like that. But, again, we haven't had a quarterback to 100% put behind that is still a hardcore, loyal and true Cowboy that will rock and pump orange and black, that will help with the promotion, marketing, and recruiting, NIL viability of future quarterbacks to come to Oklahoma State. We know we can get running backs. We know we can get wide receivers. We're starting to know we can get big-time linebackers. We're getting pretty highly touted quarterbacks, from Mason to Spencer to Garrett to Zane to Mailake. These are all highly rated dudes. Before Mason, who is the highly rated Bobby Reed, of course, who we've had on the show. Yeah, we need to get Bobby Reed back on here. Zach Robinson was a member. Zach was a big deal, a very big deal. Matter of fact, I don't think I've ever. So I used to obviously be on campus quite often, just going to Stillwater High School and doing some camps and stuff at Oklahoma State. And I remember there's a couple different times where I got mistaken for Zach Robinson by college girls. And I'd be lying to you if I told you I didn't. I may or may not have, okay? I may or may not have signed a couple things with VR when I was in high school. I forgot about that. But anyways, yeah. Zach was a very highly rated guy. Before him, it was it Alex Kate was pretty regarded, wasn't he? Right? Obviously didn't work out. But if I recall, Alex Kate was actually a pretty highly touted quarterback get for us. Wes Lunt was a pretty highly touted dude. Obviously didn't quite work out. Yeah, I gave my prediction earlier, 35-24. I think we're gonna do it, y'all. There's not a metric I can find that indicates this even should be really all that close. You know, as Ed Gundy said, we're gonna play a decent amount of young guys. Right. Mm-hmm. Yep. Bobby Reed, Zach Smith, for sure. And then again, Like Rangel was pretty highly touted. Zane Flores, like number one quarterback in the history of Nebraska. Mayolake Smith. I mean, we had to fend off some of the heaviest hitters they have in the Pac 2.25, whatever it is. What up, homie Skeletor? No, Corn Dog was, I think, like a 2-star that, had to spend, 5 years just kind of patiently waiting, biding his time, putting in the work, putting in the effort. And I covered in my show from yesterday that, yes, I'm going to keep bringing it up, so y'all go check out. I do think that we have a very, very, very good shot at getting River Warren on campus. And River Warren is extremely reminiscent of Garrett Rangel coming in. He doesn't have quite the numbers that Garrett did because he didn't play high school football that Garrett did, but he's coming in, if he does come, at 6'3", 190 pounds, threw for 2,300 yards, 32 touchdowns, 5 picks, had like a 64, 65 QBR, which is a really good number. As we just discussed earlier, anything 75 and above is Pro Bowl NFL level. Anything in the 50s is like quote unquote normal. So, but his delivery is funky. So Timurte will have a little bit of a job to do there. But if he can do the Garrett Rangel system and he can put on 20 pounds and he can shave 2/10 of a second off of his 40, and he can get significantly better at establishing the out routes and having some zip on them to get them there instead of just getting them there. You know what I mean? His aim's up early next year. So, from what I've been told, right? I mean, I know some of y'all don't believe, but from what I've gathered, Zane was doing really good in the spring, really good in the fall, really good in the beginning of the season, but about the Iowa State range where we decided offensively that we were going to start doing all the option routes that Alan Bowman did at Michigan, that they practiced over the summer. So instead of doing like your traditional concepts that Casey Dunn is huge on, we switched it up and we went to the option route stuff that Bowman's pretty daggone good at. Garrett was able to pick it up pretty decently. And I'm not saying that, he took it over and was Aaron Rodgers, but Garrett was able to incorporate the traditional O State offense with the option route stuff that Bowman is good at. And Zane struggled at that, right? So Zane, I guess, has struggled for the last couple months to some degree on incorporating the option routes because your option routes are predicated upon reading the defense. And you're hoping that you read the safety and the linebacker the exact same way that the wide receiver does. And if you're on the same page and you see a certain portion of the zone that opens up predicated upon what a linebacker or a safety does, quarterback's going to throw that window, hoping the receiver read the same thing and breaks the same way. Bowman's pretty good at that, right? I think that's actually his strong suit, that and throwing it into the crowd. But Garrett's pretty decent at it. Bowman or Zane has struggled a little bit picking up. But again, I know Garrett has private coaches that do work with Timurte in the summer. So that's going to be ironed out, ready to rock and roll. So I would also presume that if we're doing that for Garrett or guidance of what Timothy needs, I would assume we're going to do the same thing in the offseason with Zane Flores. So if we're going to stick with the option route concepts that we've been doing, Zane's going to have the opportunity over the summer to dial it in. So you know what? It's very possible that Zane can do that. But it's also possible that we scrap the option route stuff because that is that's more of an Alan Bowman specialty, right? That's what they did in Michigan. He was able to do it with 5 wide receivers over the summer in California for a couple months, and that's basically what they did. Bowman would be like, okay, at Michigan, we would do this if the safety did this. So you run this route if this linebacker went this way, so on and so forth. And then our wide receivers, right, like Jaden Bray and Brennan Presley, we would say, okay, dope. But at Oklahoma State, what Casey Dunn typically has us do when the safety does this is this. So we would incorporate the stuff that Alan Bowman knows into the stuff that Brennan Presley knows that Casey Dunn knows. And that's what they worked on over the summer. And then in the spring and the fall, we did a lot of run-oriented type of stuff. Then we went back to the traditional Casey Dunn route concepts. We scrapped pretty much all of the option route stuff. And then we saw the product of what that equaled the first few games. Then we incorporated option routes around Iowa State. And yeah, I don't want to get repetitive, but that's Alan's thing. He's good at it. Garrett picked it up a decent amount. Zane still needs a little bit of work in that department. But again, when you walked in at 210 pounds, and now you've had months of the body by glass system, and Zane is very close with some of these receivers. I know him and Zane and Hudson are two peas in a pod. Elijah Collins is part of that crew kind of as well. So Zane loves the process. Garrett Rangel is very well aware, or at least he should be. I hope he is. What has Mike Gundy said 73,000 times? It takes 3 years, yeah, at Oklahoma State or almost anywhere for a quarterback to really get the light bulb to click. 3-4 years, corn dog, Taylor Cornelius, the light bulb clicked. He physically just wasn't ready yet. It took a little bit more time. Is Bowman leaving? No. So he's not going to announce the decision he gets from the NCAA till after the bowl game. I actually think that he'll wait till like New Year's. He might do it after the bowl game, but I think he's either going to announce that he's going to come be like a grad coach at Oklahoma State, or if he does announce that he's going to take the injury year, I actually don't think that he's coming back. How do I put this? If Bowman does come back, I don't think that he's coming back under tried and true, day one, locked in as the guy. I'll put it that way. I think Bowman's either going to not take his 7th year and be a coach, or he is going to take it, but be okay with helping Rangel and Flores as much as helping prepare, if that makes sense. I'm trying to word it somewhat delicately, dagnabbit. All right. Yeah, I think, no. Well, okay. So y'all know, not only did I ride Gundy for a lot of that crap, I was Dunskies. But anyhow, dagnabbit. Sorry, I do have some like euphemisms and stuff that are probably a little different. Merry New Year. Yeah, I don't want to see that. But anyway, sorry. If there is a benefit of the rotation of madness, because that's precisely what it was, let's call it what it was. If there is a benefit of the rotation of madness and the regalvanization of the locker room and Gundy and everybody, look at the transfer portal, or should I say lack thereof. And Gundy did mention it in an interview like 3 weeks ago when it I'm sorry, I have a frog in my throat. When I think he was asked in a press conference about, is there an expectation for a lot of transfers, so on and so forth. And he came out flat and said, well, I wouldn't expect a whole lot because I don't know of all the reasonings that you would want to leave. He said there's going to be some kids that do want to leave, and it does make sense. There's going to be some guys that do want to leave, and it is likely the best move. But you can't say that you didn't get Oklahoma State, right? The first 4 games, there's basically nobody on the roster that can say they didn't get 20, 30, 40, 60, 80, 90 snaps. How many other 3rd string, 4th string guys anywhere in the country got 50, 60, 70 snaps in live real game action? Was it ugly as all get out? Yeah, for the most part it was. But from a preferred walk-on, which I think we're trying to dominate and we should, if you were told you're going to get opportunities to play on the field. Guys, there's no way that Cale Smith and Dylan Smith had any misconceptions starting the year that they were going to play a lot. They weren't. They're young cats that were pretty deep on the depth chart, right? But because of those first 4 games, even though it was ugly and crazy and we need to manage it much better, everyone got to play. So nobody can say, I want out because I have to go somewhere where I get a chance to see the field. You can't say that in Stillwater. Again, it was ugly. It was nasty. We need to manage it better, fix it up, make it look cleaner. But all in all, the rotation ended up being beneficial. Yes, this is me circling the wagon saying that. Did I just come up to this realization here? Yeah, I don't know if I want to go that far, but maybe there was a method here and the madness sorted itself out. I don't mind the rotation. I just don't. Because what the rotation did show is Alan Bowman was the best game manager for this team. Right? The rotation also showed that we didn't really give Rangel the same offenses. So they both looked pretty good at times doing things that they're good at doing. But they didn't get the same offense that Bowman got from Iowa State and beyond. Which I think is why Mike Gundy, Tim Rattay, maybe Casey Dunn, maybe Cale Gundy, I think they can see that we have something beyond Bowman right now. Guys, we could have gone after Malik Smith. I'm sure there was potential reciprocation of interest. We could have easily gone after Will Howard, but we didn't. For one, it's because our NIL collective needs to focus on keeping our Ollie Gordons and our Nick Martins and our Brennan Presleys and our Talon Shetrans and our Dalton Coopers and our Kendall Daniels and our Cam Epps. You're picking up what I'm putting down. You're feeling me. You're smelling what I'm stepping in. We're good at quarterback. We invested in the War Pigs 2.0. We invested in the best running back in the country. We invested on returning virtually all of our wide receivers that can come back. We invested in Brian Nardo's 3-3-5. We don't feel like we needed to add an extra investment in quarterback. And I feel pretty comfortable and confident in getting River Warren. He's a project, sure, but 6'3", 190 pounds. 2 years from now, if we can fix his delivery and he can put on some muscle, he needs to gain about 25 pounds, just point blank period. But if he does, and we know he can with Rob Glass, we're okay. We need to put our money where it matters. And I think we did that in the guys up front, in Ollie Gordon, in the defense, especially the secondary. We're going to make some more moves in the transfer portal. Our NIL collective was good enough to get Caden Green to sit down at the table. With all, honestly, guys, I don't think Mizzou getting Caden Green, I mean, I would love to trash Mizzou a little bit for their Texas A&M, throw money at everything NIL level approach. I would love to talk crap on them. But I don't think we didn't get Caden Green because of money, because NIL. He liked our package from what I've gathered. It was about the fact that we returned 6 starters. So no matter what he was going to get, he may have started, but maybe not. But anyways, we're going to make some moves. We got our dude here. Guys, I think we're getting Reggie Grimes because of the NIL collective, because of what we fixed in the injury department and how we handle that stuff. I think we're going to get a couple more defensive linemen that are going to bolster things for us. We need a couple more defensive ends, more than just Reggie Grimes. But if we get Jalen Lucas, that is, okay, can we admit that we got a lot right this year? A lot. My biggest miss was probably Ladarius Webb. I thought he was going to be like a first-team All-Big 12er. All right. I was wrong there. But I feel equally as high on Jalen Lucas being more than adequate. As Gundy said, we want it to be either as good as or better for the replacement. If we get Jalen Lucas, that is a better replacement for Jaden Nixon. We love Jaden. I love Jaden. We're all going to root for Jaden a lot as he progresses in his career. But Jalen Lucas is precisely what we need. And because of our NIL, because of how many guys were coming back, because of the new reinvigorated Cowboy culture, Mike Gundy, the offense, the Brian Nardo's energy is, guys, if we could find a way, all right, if we could find a way to bottle up what Brian Nardo does, hear me out here, with Mike Gundy's improving relationships right now with high school coaches and camp coordinators in the state of Texas, and Brian Nardo's infectious abilities to get in good with these guys, plus Coach Wozniak's development of the relationships, plus our reemergence of doing some level of domination of the DFW area. If we can combine that with a Big 12 title, not just getting there, we got to hold the trophy next year. We got to have somebody holding up the WWE Quinn Ewers Undertaker MVP belt. Because if we can combine all of this momentum with a championship, I do firmly believe that it'll be a respect thing. And our recruiting classes numerically will look better. As we've said it before, if Landon Cleveland, David Kabongo, Trey Griffiths, or Malaki Smith, if any one of them dudes would have committed to Texas or Michigan or Bama or Oregon, where they all had offers from, they would have all been bumped to 4-star. Yeah? But there is disrespect still on Oklahoma State because we are known as the team that can always get there but can never win it. And unfortunately, that's a fair analysis nationally. But once we kick that door down and we make it known as it should be based off of numbers, wins, statistics, Oklahoma State, Utah, Kansas State, we should be vying for the Big 12 title every daggone year. I don't think anybody is going to get to the Boomer Gooner level of winning 7, 8, 9 in a row type stuff. I don't. But I do think that your Oklahoma States, your Utahs, your Kansas States, one of us three, and there's others that could jump in there too. I'm not dogging other Big 12 programs. But right now, I'd say one of us three should be playing for a Big 12 title at minimum every other year. Right? Hasn't Mike Gundy discussed previously that at Oklahoma State every 3 or 4 years we should have enough to compete for a Big 12 title? F all that noise. We're better than that. Okay? And let's face it, I hate admitting it, but with OU and Texas gone, here we are. We should be playing for titles, if not yearly, every other year. We should. Guys, any year that we finish lower than third or fourth should be a massive disappointment. Back me up here. I've said some stuff about Gundy. That was 100% right, but I've also given Gundy respect and love and admiration for his ability to turn this thing back around. So now it's time that Gundy takes the next step, and it does look like that he can and will. When you return 85% of your roster, that speaks volumes. When you return guys that you know good and daggone well have been offered more figures than we're ever going to offer, likely. When you're hearing that our main man, Ollie Gordon's helping all of his O-linemen get extra money first, there is an effect here. Cowboy culture has done good. It hasn't been like great. We can get there, and maybe I'm hoping I'm not drinking too much or making too much moonshine. I mean, orange Kool-Aid. But I feel like he's there. I feel like him working 14 hours a day again, maybe again begrudgingly in the beginning. I actually think that part of that was, oh shit, I kind of like this. I kind of miss diagnosing film at 10 p.m. while Gal was rocking and rolling with stuff. I do. And it appears to be real. And if it's real, I'm telling you, believe me or not, there's a lot, hundreds of high school coaches in the state of Texas that believe in Rob Glass. They believe in Wozniak. They believe in Benny Tonga. They believe in Rashidi Jones. They believe in Oklahoma State getting guys that want to do it the right way. Yeah, okay. But some people have been slightly apprehensive about promoting their kids going to Oklahoma State because they don't know if they're going to get exactly what Gundy was presenting. That seems to be changing. And if we win a Big 12 title, we return 85% of the roster, yeah, including the best running back in America if he is coming back. We win a Big 12 title. We've got a recruiting class right here, right now, with some studs in it. Then our recruiting numbers are in the 30s and 40s. If we do it again, if we went back-to-back Big 12 titles, then the respect level is okay. There's then we start getting our numbers in the 20s. And then, where are we? We're here. We've arrived. If Oklahoma State is one of the 10 winningest programs in the last 10 to 12 years, which is a statistical fact, yeah, we get the big ones, but statistically, W's are W's, and they're hard to get. We should, I don't want to say run this conference, but can we all agree that anything from here on out below fourth is not acceptable? Can we just say that Oklahoma State and Mike Gundy have gotten us to this level that anything less than 8 wins is not good? I think we're there. Well, we're almost there. But keep an Ollie, if that's what happens, it's a good sign. I am very intrigued to see what we do offensively. If we hire Kel Gundy, I don't care if we keep Casey Dunn. All right, just call a spade on that one. But if we're not publicly, physically hiring Kale or Arroyo or Dana or somebody of that ilk, then no, we're done. Other than that, this is a pretty good ship that we've put together. We're one Big 12 championship trophy away from being where we all think we can be. Gundy has said before, I would love to get Oklahoma State to the almost blue blood level. Yeah. It'll take 40 years to be a blue blood, right? So it ain't going to happen anytime soon. But to be in that blue blood conversation, right? Your Oregons, your Clemsons, your Florida States, to be there is a possibility. We can do that. But we've got to be aggressive, right? We've got to continue to be innovative. And we've got to continue to get behind and ride the wave of these NFL dudes like Mason and Jalen and Chuba and Tyreek and Emmanuel Agba and Amen Agba Malcolm Rodriguez and Devin Harper, Christian Holmes, Jason Taylor II. And we're about to see more Cowboys in the NFL. I feel it. Hey, man. Yeah, but flips happen. I will say this. We've talked about it. Kenny Dillingham, I think, is the real deal. Kenny Dillingham is their version of Mike Gundy. Except for, he didn't necessarily play there, but he's a local kid, coached or played the high school there, coached the high school there, went to Arizona State, right? He is their Mike Gundy. And Marcus Arroyo, if he keeps Marcus Arroyo, right? That's massive. And they brought in some good transfers, and they do have a decent class. So Arizona State's going to be decent. You guys are also stealing some portions of next week's show. But okay. This baby Nuggo. And then I'll get out of here and I'll look at this. We'll talk about it next week. If Brett Yormark had all control, right? If Brett Yormark had all trump cards where he could sit at the table and he said, this is what we're going to do. And I'm not insinuating that Brett Yormark has this pool or these cards, but in a pretend world that does have some slight possibilities, if you're Brett Yormark, would you say, all right, Arizona State, you don't really want to be here? Toodaloo, my darling. You know what? Louisville, you fit perfect. We're going to swap you out, and we're going to get rid of Arizona State. Right? Let's say KU. Let's say KU really doesn't want to be here, and we don't want to fight with the headache of battling somebody trying to leave the league in 2-3 years. So do we let KU go off into the sunset and bring in a Pitt? Obviously, getting Miami or Clemson would be massive, or Florida State. But okay, let's go that route. If Florida State really doesn't want anything to do with the Big 12, do you go Utah status and bring them in anyways? Right? Or do you keep everybody and still add a few ACC style schools, knowing that you could have an Arizona State, or a Utah, or a KU try to backdoor and get out of the conference in a couple of years? I want to know y'all's opinion, and I'll give y'all my opinion and my breakdown of it, obviously a little bit more next week. So that's the nugget. If you're Brett Yormark and money, all of that's not an issue, and you have the backing of Fox, ESPN, all of that, in a perfect world, do you keep the four corner schools? Do you bring in a Miami, a Clemson, a Pitt, a Virginia Tech, Louisville, that type thing? Or do you get the people that really want to come in? Right? I've heard some discontentment from Pitt fans. Like, what in the world would make Pittsburgh fans look down on the Big 12? Are you high as a draft's vagina, Pittsburgh fans? You getting into the Big 12 would be the best thing to happen to you since you got into the ACC. Get out of here. But so that's the thing. Do we really want Arizona State knowing they don't really want to be here? Would we really bring in a Pitt if they really don't want to be here? Let's say a Georgia Tech or a Louisville or a Duke really, really, really wants to be in the Big 12, kind of like Colorado. kind of like Arizona. Do you bring them in and get rid of the bums that really don't want to be in, including maybe KU? KU's always fancied himself as a Big Ten school. Or do you just keep dominating and maximize the big 22 teams and deal with the potential blowback of teams wanting to leave later? Or, guys, we're going to be able to grab some ACC schools. It's going to happen. Just point blank, period. Hallelujah, amen. So, to me, the question is for Brett Muirmark, do you add 4 ACC schools and keep the 4 corner schools? Or do you maybe do mix and match? Do you get rid of the schools that really don't want to be here, that are going to fight you on some stuff here and there? Arizona State is not going to vote the same way Oklahoma State or Texas Tech do. It's just not going to happen. An example, if another big round of COVID 737 kicked off, and let's say the Big 12 took a vote on, are we going to shut down the country and not play football again? Arizona State is going to vote, yes, we should shut down the Big 12. We ain't. Our main men down the roads in Lubbock, Taco Recum Tech, they ain't going to vote to shut down football, but Arizona State will, right? You feel me? Utah maybe will, right? That's just an example. So anyways, I was supposed to drop a nugget and get out, but I've had a blast on this one. I ain't going to lie to y'all. And you know what? I appreciate you. I'm sorry to all y'all who had to listen to my voice get kind of frogtastic throughout the course of this live show. But this has been amazing. Watching Mason Rudolph do his thing is amazing. Watching Jaylen Warren get in there, mix it up is amazing. Knowing that we had at least 3, I think mostly all of our current quarterbacks having conversations, how big of a deal it was to watch Mason do this. Yeah, bro. I bleed orange. And I'm not a big news dropping dude. Y'all know that. I'm here to have fun, prop up, pump up, bleed orange, inject as much Kool-Aid as I can, but also be realistic. Do it based off of film. Do it based off of conversations. Do it based off of meetings. I am extremely blessed in this job. This has given me more opportunities than I would ever have imagined. This has been a wild ride. And I feel like I've learned some stuff. I've grown on the show. But here's the deal. Here's something y'all can always count on with me. I'm going to make this thing fun. I'm going to hype this thing up. I'm going to do my get to you real. But occasionally, if I know with 99.999% certainty that stuff is happening and it is negatively affecting Oklahoma State, occasionally I'm going to put some stuff out, y'all. But I hope that in this process, I've done enough and we've done enough for y'all to know I'm just here for the betterment of O State. I bleed orange like crazy. I got O State tattoos. And you know what? If we win a Big 12 title next year, I will put a picture of Mike Gundy's face holding the Big 12 title on my leg next to my current Oklahoma State tattoo. I don't hate Gundy. I hate what was happening to our Cowboys because of Gundy's complacency. And I spent almost 11 months on this story. And I did accumulate, more information than I maybe ever wanted to, y'all. But it was only for the best. And I'm not saying I had any hand, but Wet, help me help you. Before I put it out, we were 2-2. And then a lot of things happened. A lot of things changed. And we ended the season with the best midseason turnaround of my lifetime. I've never seen this level of turnaround. Okay? I hadn't. But again, I'm here to have fun. I'm here to rep the Big 12. I'm here to pump O State. I'm here to give stuff that I know is real. I like to do it from a film perspective. I like to do it from a game perspective. But yeah, occasionally I'm going to drop some nuggets. Not very often. I'm not a news dude. It's not what I'm here to do. Yes, I do some journalistic writing. Yes, I do travel and do film evaluation and analysis for high school recruiting. But I'm here just for the best for Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is good enough to have a bigger national media profile. And I don't give 13 hoots if it's me, y'all. if it feels like 45, O State Daily, the Justin Southwell Believe in OK State, the podcast or whatever with Clint Shelf and Deanna Amate, the podcast with Ollie Gordon and help me out, Eric Daly Jr. I don't give 13 hoots who it is. I don't care if it's Doug Gottlieb, if he decides to do a daily O State show. But the point is, Oklahoma State is good enough, big enough, and bad enough now with enough resources, enough capital to be a bigger brand. So any voice that can help Oklahoma State get bigger, I'm all for it. There's so many positive things that happen in Stillwater, but from a media perspective, we just keep it so bottled up in Stillwater. Sometimes it's okay for us to break out of the Stillwater shell. We're a bigger brand than we give ourselves credit for. We as a fan base sometimes, I think, hold ourselves back from being bigger, but we are big. Guys, a decade ago, right? Could we have ever got a 4-star quarterback from California? Right? Did any of us ever think that one day we're going to get big enough to recruit guys from Cali? Right? but we do. We are. We have. We're doing it now. Yeah. So Utah's way different than us. Yeah. See, you guys keep roping me in here. I love you. I think they do actually lose quite a few seniors. We had 28 seniors participate in the walkout, or no, not the walkout. Sorry, the senior day walkthrough festivity stuff. But I'm pretty sure out of those 28, we're getting like 15 of them back, 16 of the 28. Our roster is crazy. And I think they had like 28-ish, 26-ish to walk. The difference is they're legit losing like 18 or 19 of their 26. So they're in a different spot. Yeah, dude, right? And I know you were in on the very beginning when I was talking in the spring about how we were running the ball a lot back then. And it was awesome. And I didn't understand why we started the season and started throwing the ball all over the damn place. So yeah, I think we figured a lot out this year. Mike Gundy, I know, dagnabbit, I'll say it. I know with 100% certainty that this was the biggest growth ever by Mike Gundy. And I would even argue by a large margin. This was the Gundy that I was bitching and moaning at, all right, it all year. This is all I wanted, but we all wanted this. I promise. We all wanted a little bit more from everybody, including Gundy and Weiber, and we got it. And now we're rolling more momentum than maybe ever. You guys, let me know. Other than, which we talked a little bit earlier about how Chuba Hubbard's Heisman campaign got kind of derailed by not only COVID, but the OAN t-shirt, all that stupid crap, right? But other than that, yeah, this is the most excited anticipation-wise we've ever been. Is that fair? Like after Chuba rushed for 2,100 yards, we thought, right, Big 12 title, that we were pretty pumped. And we also had the days where we had Mason announcing he was coming back, Marcel Aitman announcing he was coming back, James Washington announcing he was coming back. That was huge. But if right? We get everybody back that I think we're gonna, that it appears as though we're gonna. Does this not feel bigger than then? Does this not feel like, oh shit? Not just can we go to a Big 12 title game, but we actually could win it, should maybe win it. Tell me I'm wrong if I'm wrong, but I honestly feel like this might be the most excited I've ever been for a season, which gives me some trepidation, y'all. Because when we're the favorite, that's when things typically get a little sketchy. But this roster is so close and so mature and basically all staying together. That makes it different, right? Because typically what happens when you're the favorite all year is you have that game or two where you lose focus, you overestimate, you slip up. But if you have a gangster, OG2, OG Deuce, OG, call them what you want to call them, Heisman level, leadership in the locker room with the leadership we already know we have defensively, the leadership we already know we have on the O-line, that's what does make it a little different. Correct. Yep. And maybe I'm crazy, but I really honestly, I could have swore that at one point in time this last year, there was a publication that did have Mayo Locke Smith and Lando Cleveland as 4 stars. And then I think they got bumped down. I could be wrong. Some Cowboys that signed letters of intent the other day that did get bumped down, but maybe I was wrong on the players. Yeah, dude. Correct. Like everybody has to know that it's the every year Mike Gundy says the objective is what? Big 12 title. I know it's risky. I don't want to get too far ahead of our skis. But I'd almost say that put it on a bulletin board, slap it everywhere you can in the locker room. The objective for 2024 shouldn't just be winning in Arlington. That should be the expectation. We need to be in the playoff, y'all. If you return 85% of your roster and every single one of your All-Americans, literally all of them, how can CFP not be the goal? All right, y'all. We went way longer than I anticipated, but this was amazing. I had a great time. I'm glad I did this. And you know what? We'll do it again. Yeah, we'll do it again. We'll jump on this Mason Rudolph train, and we'll hope upon everything that we can get this thing to the playoffs. And we can watch a Mason Rudolph, Jalen Warren led playoff W, not the West Side. West Side for Shane Ellington, Mayo Locke Smith, and Nuku Mafi, though. Yeah, so we'll ride this thing. Next weekend, if Rudolph gets another dub, we'll do it again. And we'll just, we'll make this a little Rudolph run here on Locked On Oklahoma State. But, anywho, that's all we're going to have for this one here. I appreciate you all. As always, you know I love you. If you like the stuff, like it, guys. I was going to do a show, but I was numerically, we hit a lot of our targets. One of my targets was 100,000 downloads on Spotify stuff. I think I'm at like 87,000. Oh, I'm not going to hit that goal. But it does give me something to strive for. But I do want to say thank you to everybody that does jump in on, whether it be the YouTube show, podcast, whatever. Numerically, we've hit a lot of our goals. So that, we got to do more. But help me establish what the goals should be for next year, because we're pretty close to a couple of them. I don't know, 100,000 downloads on Spotify. Maybe it was I don't know. Maybe it was lofty, but looks like we're going to end up with 92, 90-ish, 93,000 downloads there on the show. And the goal was 1,000, right? And we went way past that. So then we upped it to 1,500. We went way past that. Then I upped it to 2K. We're not quite going to get that in a matter of a few days. It doesn't look like. But guys, this has been, again, the biggest blessing of my life. I'm not going to say I would do this for free, all right? But I did say in the beginning that if I could ever dream of having Oklahoma State Cowboys and NFL Cowboys in my phone that I can talk to whenever, I'd have told you you were full of shit. I say it. I don't curse often. But I would do this for free because I legitimately love this job so much. Just the access. That's it, guys. I'll be real with you. I never thought that I'd be able to do what I've been able to do. The Big 12 championship game was probably number 2, the greatest experiences of my life. Swear to you, was everything that I was able to get, at the Big 12 title game. I ain't gonna get teary-eyed because that's dumb. But thank you, everybody. This has been a wild ride. There's been ups. There's been downs. I've said crazy shit. I've backed up some shit. We might get to the 10 wins. We got to hammer the over on a lot of stuff. And we're not quite done yet. I'm going to do a Christmas show, right? And we're going to do a bowl game show, live, all that stuff. We're not done. But I just want to say thanks to everybody. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. But I also encourage everybody to check out all the O State shows because I do think that we all offer something a little bit different, right? Like I do a lot of the video breakdowns, but O State Daily does it with the stuff going in the background. That's pretty cool. I understand that the passion, the delivery, all that stuff. I hope it always comes off as 100% genuine. This is me all day, every day. And I've said this before when I got the job. The reason I feel like I was perfect for this is because I did this with my other jobs. Guys, I swear to you, hand on the Bible. And I do catch a hard time. I was a used car salesman, all right, but I was a daggone good one. I was salesman of the year, employee of the year, 2 years in a row, and then I became the manager and all that fun jazz. And in that time, when I renegotiated my contract to be manager, swear to you, I had to get 3 hours of lunch every Saturday. I made him put it in the contract to watch football, Oklahoma State games. I did not miss a game. When I was in the oil field, I had a microphone, a TV, PlayStation, all that set up in my truck. And you better believe I'd pull over and I'd watch games. This is what I've done my whole life. I just never got paid for it. I never got in front of a camera or behind a microphone. I would yell at my employees. Why are we punting right here? Yeah, I love this stuff, ladies and gentlemen. And I love y'all's participation. I love this ride. It's going to get bigger. It's going to get better. If you haven't heard, I'll list out locations, but I'll be in Texas, Georgia, California, Colorado, Oklahoma, covering high school recruiting. I'm going to do a lot of meetings with high school, college coaches. And it's going to give me, I think, a lot more ability to help be dialed in to what's happening in recruiting, not only for Oklahoma State, but the Big 12 in general. I'm going to do everything I can to be an asset to help young athletes get to college, whether it be Oklahoma State University, Friends University, the University of Deaf and Mute, whatever. I don't care. And it's the same thing that I try to do with Oklahoma State. Guys, I've had several players on the program, and the only reason I do that is for their exposure, for their NIL style of capabilities, and for the audience, the fans, to get one-on-one. to see what Lyric Rawls is saying, to see what Justin Wright's saying, to see what Xavier Benson is saying, to see what Hudson Cock is saying. And if I try not to do it in season, right? I respect the boundaries for the most part. I'm not going to interfere with them in season, but I'm trying to just give the fact that I bleed all of this for y'all. And I would do this for free because this is what I've dreamed of. When you say dream job, I'm getting so far from the weeds. I'm so daggone sorry, y'all. But this has turned into a soliloquy instead of a show, and I apologize. But I'm thankful to Locked On. I'm thankful to Jim Williams, Capital, Hall of Fame. Guys, Epic Sports has been great. Flex Zone 1-on-1's been great. Prospect 7-on-7's been great to me. And I'm only doing it. I swear to you, I'm doing all of this just to grow more webs of connection for Oklahoma State, for this show, for y'all. I appreciate all y'all. I really do. All right, y'all. Anyways, I'm done. I legit gotta go. I'm surprised my kids haven't been running down, yelling. I'm supposed to be wrapping presents. I did really good at buying them. All right. I did really good at picking them out. But my wrapping skills, I didn't learn how to wrap in the military, but I might as well have, because when I wrap, even when I try, it looks like a monkey humping a football, right? I might as well be painting tape everywhere. But they still make me do it every year. I don't get it. All right, it is what it is. I appreciate all y'all. You know the drill. I love you. As always, God bless. Go Pokes. Tune in. It's going to be a fun week with a lot of stuff to cover. We're going to have some Christmas presents and some orange and black flavor, I hope, to open with a bunch of more good news. All right, y'all. Appreciate you. Later, taters.